We have reached the 3 o'clock hour. Welcome to the Gilmer Local Transportation Commission. Today, December 18th. It is, I'll call this meeting to order. And Susan, welcome. Would you mind taking roll?
Okay, Commissioner Inscore.
He is not here.
Okay, Commissioner Borges. I see him there, Commissioner Borges. Okay.
Hang on.
Well, I'll just send her an email about it. It's
Okay,
fine.
yep, I'm here.
Do that now.
Okay, Commissioner Greeno.
He's absent.
Okay, Commissioner Howard.
Here.
Okay, Commissioner Altman.
Here.
Okay, Tasha Alstrand.
Here.
And Commissioner Short.
I am here. And let it be noted that Commissioner Inscore is no longer a city councilman, so he is not here.
Okay.
Okay, if you all join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Republic for stand one nation, God. Okay, at this time, we enter our public comment period. Is there anyone wishing to make a public comment? Seeing none, I'll close our public comment period and adjourn to the public.
Did you want to make a public comment? Oh, okay. I thought you were going to stand up. Excuse me.
At this time, we'll adjourn to the Policy Advisory Committee and take up our consent agenda. We have two items, our minutes of November 5th, 2024, and our annual fiscal audit of year 2023-24.
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on our consent agenda items? Seeing no public comment, I will close that public comment period. Susan, would you pull the vote, please?
Yes, could you tell me who made the first and second?
Chris made the first.
Okay. And the second
And
was?
Borges.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Altman.
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
Commissioner Borges.
Yes.
Tasha Alstrand.
Yes.
Chair Short.
Yes. Sorry about the interruption. Okay. Moving on to our policy administrative, we'll take up item C on our agenda, and that is awarding carbon reduction program funding for planning purposes.
Click on my hot link here.
Yeah, go right ahead.
The sausage.
You know, the agenda has hot links. Do you guys know that? You click on the agenda and it jumps down. Anyway. This has been gotten a little complicated since our last meeting. Yeah, these carbon reduction program funds, which is the primary reason why we're meeting now rather than meeting in the first week in January or even later. So the carbon reduction program funds, there is some concern that those funds will be taken back on or after January 6th because they're federal funds, and the focus of the new federal administration is likely to be different from the current federal administration in thoughts of carbon reduction. We don't know that that's going to happen, but we're moving ahead as quickly as possible to secure these funds so we can do the little bit of federal funded work that they allow us to do. And so the award of the $105,014 in 2022-23 is planning funding, and the potential for 2024 funding of the $52,000 is for planning. If all of the funding remains constant, and with that 2024 funding of $52,000, we change the purpose of that funding down the road. If the city or county or a tribe or transit has a different use, we could change the target of this. I don't anticipate that happening because $52,000 of federal funding We don't even have the dollar amounts for the 25 years, 26 years. We have plenty of time. I think there's 5 years to spend the funding. So the challenge is getting the funding secured to begin with, not spending the money on time. For the Transportation Commission using the funding as planning. If we were using it for construction, it would be quite difficult for any agency to pull together the federal documents needed for this funding. So there's actually a place in the guidelines that specifically says recreational trails, and but I was in the original agenda packet, it includes recreational trails, but recreational trails has been pulled from the scope of work. So the carbon reduction program funding does not include recreational trails. So that was the change between the first agenda packet and this agenda packet, was with this carbon reduction program funding. This is active transportation, which is basically pedestrians and bikes transportation, zero emission vehicle infrastructure, and transit. And we will do as much work as we can with the funding that we have. Our transit documents are going to be up to date. Robocoast Transit Authority has a planning grant, and they're doing a significant update. But by the time we get to the 4th and 5th year of this fund source, they may need to update that document again. We'll just see how it goes. But that's the change where we are with the carbon reduction program funding. And I'm going to do everything I can during this crunch time of holiday season before January 6th to get an E76 approved. It should be a pretty streamlined process, and that would absolutely secure the funding before January 6th. I'm thinking that we'll probably have more time, and the 2024 and 2020, the 2025 and 2026 years are much more likely to be the take-back years. So we don't know. There are people who really want to know the answer, and we'll find out. I'll let you know in a month or so. That's the purpose of this mid-month meeting is to do what we can to capture this $100,000+ of CRP funding.
Yeah, I think we can all understand the dynamics of the new administration, how it may affect us. Just for everybody who listens in, for clarity at E76, would you explain what that is?
An E76 is basically a document that is with Caltrans that is a permission to invoice. It's the document that says your project is now, the funding for your project is absolutely secure, and you can start invoicing us.
Thank you.
I don't deal with E76s very often because I don't deal with federal funding very often. Most of the federal funding that we receive in our region is for construction projects. So it's an unusual step for me, but that's
Appreciate that.
essentially
Yeah,
what it is.
Doesn't come up very often. So on our agenda, we have 3 items, and that is award $105,014 in 2022 and 23 carbon reduction program funding to Del Norte Local Transportation Commission to initiate a carbon reduction plan, beginning with an active transportation plan, and now we are eliminating the recreational trails part of that. The second part is if the 2024 funding is available, award $52,507 to continue the carbon reduction plan in phases. And then the third part, authorize the executive director to make administrative amendments and to complete, sign, and submit all necessary documents to meet the requirements and secure the funding for the Del Norte region.
So moved.
I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Is there any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing no public comment, I'll bring it back to the commission for any further discussion. Seeing none. Susan, would you poll the vote, please?
Yeah, I had Commissioner Howard for the second. Who was the first?
That was Commissioner Altman.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Borges,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Tasha Alstrand,
Yes.
Chair Short.
Yes. Okay. On to our discussion items. You can't talk today. 2024 Regional Transportation Plan, Tamara?
So we're rocking through the 2024 Regional Transportation Plan and anticipate it being ready for your January 7th meeting. But Tasha with Caltrans has asked for more time for review. She's been out on vacation, and so we're going to delay the 2024 adoption of the Regional Transportation Plan until the February meeting to give Caltrans the time that they need, that they've requested. There's sort of timelines written in the guidance where you submit it here and Caltrans has this many work days. But given that Tasha missed some of those because she was out, and then of course we have the holidays and not everybody's available. So I talked with Jeff Schwein with Green Dot, and that's the way that we're going to move forward with that. So it is unlikely that we will have a January 7th meeting to adopt the Regional Transportation Plan. That action and any other actions that come up will be taken care of in February, where we will also be electing a new chair and vice chair, have new members seated in that meeting. That's traditionally when we do that. Yeah, it's coming together really well. This is the Regional Transportation Light version. And we will do a more robust update in 4 years, really 2.5, 3 years now, because we're just finishing this process.
Right.
And we just don't have the money to do the update that we wish in the frequency that we need. The Regional Transportation Plan aligns with the city and county planning. And having to do with I think it's your housing element, I'm not sure. But with the city plans and the county plans, you have to have us on the same cycle. And so we're on a 4-year cycle to line up with both the city and the county's planning needs. And so adopting it, the 2024, is important to keep on that cycle.
Very good. Is there any comments or questions? Anybody have any issues with Tasha Alstrand taking a vacation? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to the 25-26 overall work program.
So we had our first meeting about the 25-26 OWP. The county is immersed in its very spectacular funded, $3 million funded planning document for the storm drain work. They really don't have capacity or any urgent needs to do any more planning work in the next year. Well, the city would really like to take a look at a focused pedestrian path
Jeez, Ray.
from Beachfront Park to Preston Island. So that's probably the planning work that we're really going to put some focus on in beginning July 1. I'm waiting to hear back from the city about how they want to handle it. There are a couple of ways that we do that. When a partner agency needs some work, we can set the funding aside and the city can run their planning work, or the city can work with me while I run the planning work. It has to do with staff time and administration. They have to work with me if I'm doing the planning work, and they are a partner in the work. And I have to monitor them because it's still the funding, the RPA funding is still my obligation, whether they're doing the work or not. So they can't really get away from me either way. But it has to do with who does the bulk of the work. And they are more autonomous if they're doing the work independently. They pick and choose the consultant. They run the selection process. I still have some oversight obligations and have to submit some reporting to Caltrans, but for the most part, it becomes a city project at that time. Or again, it can be a Transportation Commission project, and the city will, of course, need to be involved because it's a planning document that is within the city limits. So that's what we're looking at for the 25, 26 year. And typically at this time, I start to put together the overall work program, which I'm just sort of roughing out a budget right now. How is that going to come together? What is the budget? What might that budget look like? How far along can we get in this? In that work program, I'm anticipating putting in the carbon reduction program funding. I we'll know more as it goes along. It's easier for me to put it in and then to pull it out if we don't need it than to push it in at the end of the day. So if I build the overall work program with that in mind, then that works better for me. I also wanted to let you know that I'm really trying to work less. The South Beach climate resilience plan kind of put a kibosh to that because it's more work. But my contract with the commission constrains the amount of work, so we can add more work on, but that doesn't necessarily mean I can spend more time overall. And I'm really trying to figure out ways that I can work less and not think about retiring so often. So you may see a reflection of that in next year's overall work program, where I can continue to do my job, but have some of the consultants who are delivering some of the planning work accept more of the responsibility for some of the administrative parts of that planning work. So I'm trying to get my head wrapped around how to do that. I've talked to some of my colleagues who are, striving to do the same thing. Of course, I would get paid less, but I'm okay with that. I just am trying to find a way to work less and get paid less is okay too. So we'll see how I can pull that together. But those are the things that we're looking at right now for next year's overall work program for differences from our standard planning work. We're still going to, have our common work elements. We're still going to have an overall work program. We're still going to be having public meetings. We're still going to have the call box system. All of those things will still be in play.
Okay. Tasha, what do you have for us?
I wanted to back up a little bit and better understand the city-led effort. I am taking notes and I got something beachfront park planning, but I wanted to learn a little bit more about that if possible.
The city is asking for a pedestrian plan that focuses on beachfront park to Preston Island. And that's where the city-county line is. The county did a lot of work a few years ago to bring their pedestrian and bike path to as close as they can get it with the funding that they have available to them to an adequate bike path. They have paved shoulders. They've done a good job with it. And the city is trying to, it wants to put together a planning document that really focuses on a connection from Beachfront Park to Preston Island and the county line. And so what that looks like is convening the community, taking a look at the sidewalk system that we have right now, designating some paths, folding in the planning work that we did a few years ago in the 7th, 8th, 9th Street area. They need to take another look at that area and say, how are we going to work with the roadway that we have right now. They take a look at the coastal trail, where the coastal trail is designated right now, see if that continues to work, but really have a focus area for a path from Beachfront Park rather than just saying, okay, we have a city sidewalk system. And I think it's a good idea. I think that if the city could sort of concentrate on that pedestrian path, whatever it might end up being, to get folks from Beachfront Park to Preston Island and prioritize those sidewalks, that ADA, then we would be in better shape to have people taking that walk from Beachfront Park to Preston Island. It would be sort of the priority path. It wouldn't be, of course, the only way people could walk. They could walk there in whatever way they wanted on the city streets.
Thank you.
If I could turn on my microphone. Tasha, is that answer your question completely? You good? Okay,
It did, yes, thank you.
great. Okay, anybody have any questions from the commission about that item? Okay. I know we already talked about travel policy last meeting. Any further, nothing further on that?
Nope, you requested that I share the information, and there it is. Yep.
It's going to align with Caltrans rather than the county, which makes sense for our committee. Moving on down our agenda, we have any comments or reports from any of the commissioners?
I'll just report out briefly that I'm going to have Director Layton join me tomorrow for a meeting with Del Norte County's lobbyists in Sacramento to help on crafting legislation that will help address rural county concerns as it relates to highways passing through small communities like Hyuchi, Smith River, and Gasky, where we have incredibly high speed limits in congested pedestrian, non-motorized vehicle transportation within those areas. And hopefully have something to the board for a letter in January to help address this issue at a state level, to do away with an old statute. That's it.
Okay. Okay, anything? Really? No? Tasha, do you have anything for us before we adjourn as the advisory committee?
I do not.
Okay.
Wait, Tasha, we have a new planner.
Oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me. Jessica Henry Gibbs is the new Del Norte County Regional Planner, and so she will be attending the Technical Advisory Committee meetings for Caltrans and working with all of you on moving forward transportation issues in the area.
Okay, could you say her name again?
Yeah, Jessica Henry Gibbs.
Henry Gibbs. Okay.
Yeah, so she's a planner in my unit, so she'll be going to the TAC, and I'll still be continuing to come here, but she and I will be working together and with Tamara and all of you.
Very good. Okay.
Replaced Suresh, who went to Caltrans headquarters about a year ago now.
Oh, okay. Well, all right then. Well, with that, we'll adjourn as the Policy Advisory Committee and reconvene as the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission. And by poll vote, approve and adopt the actions taken by the Policy Advisory Committee. I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Howard, second by Borges. Is there any public comment? Seeing none. Susan, would you poll the vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Borges,
Yes.
Chair Short.
Yes. Okay, so what I'm hearing is we will adjourn probably not to the meeting in January 7th, likely.
More
the
likely
February
to
meeting.
February 4th, but I don't want to cancel the January meeting until we get a little bit. You are most likely to get a meeting
Understood.
cancellation notice from me in January, and we'll meet again on February.
Very good. Well, Tasha, Merry Christmas. See you then.
Thank you so much. Same to you all.
All right.
Happy
Have a
holidays.
good one.